A recent interview on the program, No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen, featured former U.S. President Barack Obama discussing political polarization in the United States. Clips from the exchange circulated widely online, drawing responses from media commentators, including Piers Morgan. Cohen later appeared on Morgan's program, Piers Morgan Uncensored, where the two discussed partisan divisions and debated which political actors bear greater responsibility for the current climate. During the conversation, Morgan said that, in his view, the upcoming November midterm elections could result in losses for Republicans and suggested that former President Donald Trump would be accountable if that outcome were to occur. These remarks reflect Morgan's personal assessment of the political landscape. The discussion followed a short clip from Obama's interview that focused on themes of civic discourse and national unity.
The other side does the mean, angry,
demagoguery,
exclusive, us, them, divisive politics. That's their home court.
Yeah.
Our court is coming together. Our court is, look, a great example. Wasn't political. Bad Bunny's halftime show.
I knew you were going to say that. Yeah.
Well, it resonated. It was smart because it wasn't preaching. It was showing. It was demonstrating and displaying. This is what a community is.
The commentator noted that, in his personal view, Piers Morgan offered a reasonable assessment regarding public debate over the recent Super Bowl halftime performance by Bad Bunny. He stated that the artist is among the most commercially successful performers globally and said the performance did not appear to contain overt political messaging, adding that interpretations may vary among audiences. Morgan later responded on social media to remarks made by former President Barack Obama about political division, describing Obama's comments as preposterously disingenuous and arguing that progressive political movements have contributed significantly to social polarization. These remarks represent Morgan's perspective. The debate continued on Piers Morgan Uncensored, where Brian Tyler Cohen appeared alongside Anna Kasparian of the Young Turks, as well as commentators identified as conservative influencers, including Isabel Brown and Blair White, to discuss differing interpretations of political rhetoric and division.
Let's get to some of the other things he said, which I thought were really interesting. We had one of the clips in the monologue. His sort of assertion that somehow people on the left are the opposite of Republicans because they're not divisive, they're inclusive, they bring people together, etc., etc., etc. I got to say, I replied to this on X yesterday, just saying, really? I mean, the woke left in the last few years, to me, have displayed themselves to be, and I'm not necessarily saying Obama is woke left. In fact, he has regularly criticized the woke left. But the woke left have been intolerably, insufferably divisive and non-inclusive, in fact, dramatically exclusive, wanting to cancelling everybody they don't agree with, almost fascist-like in their behaviour. I've discussed this many times as somebody who used to identify as liberal, now more centrist. But
during the discussion, one participant characterized another as identifying as a centrist while suggesting that this position aligned closely with conservative viewpoints. The exchange also addressed the use of charged political labels in public debate. It was noted that Piers Morgan has objected to descriptions of former President Donald Trump as a fascist, while critics argue that similarly strong language is sometimes directed at younger social media commentators on platforms such as TikTok. Supporters of Morgan contend that such terms are often used rhetorically in political discourse, whereas others suggest that the application of these labels reflects broader disagreements over the boundaries of acceptable political speech. The exchange illustrates ongoing tensions over terminology and tone in contemporary political commentary.
I just found it incredible that Obama could sit back and pretend that his side, the left, are the template of tolerance and inclusivity. Were you surprised?
No, I mean, look, this is a guy who ran his campaign. I mean, you have to think about this from Obama's perspective as well. Like, Obama ran his campaign as yes, I can, he cobbled together a coalition unlike anything we'd seen in politics before. And he was succeeded by a guy who launched his campaign basically denying the citizenship of the first black president, of saying that Mexicans are rapists and immigrants, which obviously today has culminated into mass deportations and the secret police force killing Americans in the streets with no recourse. And so the difference between the leaders of these two political parties could not be more apparent. Are you going to be able to find individuals in the coalition, within the coalition, who disprove every rule? Of course you are. You're going to be able to find woke scolds on the left, and you're going
At this point in the discussion, the speaker paused to acknowledge Brian Tyler Cohen's approach, describing it as a strategic distinction made during the exchange. According to the speaker's interpretation of the conversation, Piers Morgan acknowledged that former President Barack Obama is generally viewed as less divisive than former President Donald Trump, a comparison the speaker considered analytically relevant. The commentary then shifted to a broader observation about large political movements, noting that they encompass tens of millions of participants and therefore include a wide range of views and behaviors, including extreme or controversial outliers. The speaker argued that analysts often focus on whether such behavior reflects the tone set by a movement's leadership. In this framing, the speaker suggested that critics see stronger alignment between some confrontational rhetoric on the political right and Trump's public style, while arguing that comparable figures on the left are not widely seen as modeling similar behavior. These points represent the speaker's perspective and were presented as part of an ongoing debate about leadership influence and political rhetoric, before the discussion moved on to another clip.
Well, again, talk about second terms, right? So I would argue if that was the case, then why, when Trump was reelected, did more Latinos in huge numbers, bigger than voted for Kamala Harris, vote for Trump? Why did his share of the black vote actually go up? Right? In other words, if he really was this racist demagogue, then how did he win again with a larger vote of non-white voters? Again, that makes no sense to me.
No, I mean, look, that's not to say that the only factors that played into this were race-based or discriminatory factors. I think that obviously the economy was the principal issue in 2024, and that superseded any of the other issues. But I would also ask you right now that he's not just running some theoretical campaign, he's actually presiding over this country. What are his numbers among black people now? What are his numbers among Latinos now? I mean, we saw these latest special elections. Latinos are swinging up